Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another video. So as we've been talking quite a lot about the Ahsoka show, I wanted to do a very important theory video about Baylan and Shin, because I might have worked out their motivations. So let's start with the premise. Dave Filoni, just like George Lucas, is very much inspired by world mythology, taking aspects of legends and stories from around the world and different cultures. And we also know that Dave Filoni loves wolves. He literally named his character Trapper Wolf, the clone commander under his favourite Jedi is called Wolf, and in Star Wars Rebels, wolves played a huge role, as I think they will in the Ahsoka show as well, and that brings us on to today's theory. Baylan and Shin, their last names are Skoll and Hati. These happen to be the names of two wolves from Nordic mythology, and the stories of those two wolves, today told in Icelandic, are probably the inspiration for Baylan and Shin, and if we can decipher and translate it in a Star Wars way, then I may have worked out what Baylan and Shin are going to do in Ahsoka. In Norse mythology, Skoll and Hati were inseparable wolves, whose sole purpose was to relentlessly hunt the sun and the moon in order to devour them. According to legend, when Hati and Skoll finally catch their prey, it will mark the end of the world, known as Ragnarok. So what is the parallel in the Ahsoka show? Well, Baylan is a survivor of Order 66, and this cataclysmic event all those years ago shaped the rest of his life. After the fall of the Jedi, Baylan became a mercenary, and is now working for Thrawn, the Imperial warlord who Ahsoka is searching for in the series. I don't believe Baylan was an Inquisitor, although it is possible. We know that Thrawn is amassing his forces in preparation for an attack on the New Republic, and it's very possible he learned of a perfect weapon to achieve this, the world between worlds. Now, given Baylan and Shin's last names, which clearly hint at a connection to wolves, what if they're somehow tied to Loth-Wolves? What if the path they went down as Dark Jedi connects them in some way to Loth-Wolves, who are mystical in the Force? Did Morgan Elsbeth, who is most likely a Night Sister, grant them the ability to shapeshift into wolves? She can clearly use magic, a type we've never seen before, not like the ones on Dathomir, but the ones from the New Beyond, and in this way could be navigators to the world between worlds, or this new, unexplored part of the galaxy known as the New Beyond, a place they're all trying to get to. I definitely think there is some connection there, and I've seen some theories that say Baylan might be seeking out the world between worlds to go back and kill Anakin to stop Order 66, because that moment at the Jedi Temple changed his life. And Baylan might not know that Anakin was redeemed in the end, so he might believe the downfall of Anakin Skywalker is where things went wrong, so he might be trying to find the world between worlds to stop that happening. And just to go even further with the tinfoil hats, he might go back to when Anakin was a kid, maybe even Shmi's miraculous birth. And bear in mind guys, there is a connection between Shmi and the Chiss, Shmi Skywalker. Skywalkers were navigators for the Chiss, and maybe Thrawn knows that. Maybe Thrawn knows about Anakin's heritage. That might be going a bit overboard though, and just as there are parallels to the sun and moon in Norse mythology, there might be a parallel to Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano, but maybe even in the sense of the ones, and in regards to Ahsoka, the daughter resides in her through Morai. And there is a lot of lunar symbolism with Ahsoka in the first place. In Mando Season 2, the moon of Caladan is right behind her, so this could be something Dave Filoni had planned for a long time. What do you guys think? I definitely think there is something to the names of Baylan and Shin, but you know lately with a lot of Star Wars shows, we overthink things as fans. It could just be a case of Dave Filoni really liking wolves and naming two characters after ones from Norse mythology. It might not even be that deep, but for the sake of this theory, let's presume it is. One of his most important quotes is this: "There is a duality in them, as all things have in nature." And the late Ray Stevenson, before he passed away, did say that we're going to be surprised by the motivations Baylan and Shin have in the show. They're not just evil for the sake of it. There is something more to their purpose, and I think that's something Dave Filoni has up his sleeves, something we don't know at this stage. Even back when he finished Rebels, he said, "More will be revealed as we go." I think just based on things that were said by Ray Stevenson and Dave Filoni about these characters, they might be the most unique and different sort of villains we've had in any of these live-action shows. Dave Filoni is going to give us a good reason to care about them, and the intrigue with Baylan is the fact he knew Anakin, and being an Order 66 survivor, could this connect to Grogu? Could it connect to more flashbacks? And the big question, who was he during the prequel trilogy? Who was he during the Clone Wars? Was he just another Jedi Padawan? Is he linked to an important Jedi we know? I explored the Barriss Sophie theory before, the idea that maybe Barriss went down a middle-of-the-road sort of route when she turned against the Jedi. After she fought Anakin, did she start a new kind of Force order, one that is akin to Dark Jedi? And to this extent, is Dave Filoni going to draw inspiration from Sabayoth? I think between Baylan and Shin, that is the kind of character they convey, someone who works for Thrawn in a kind of mutually beneficial agreement. I just want to know their reasoning, I want to learn their motivations and why they're after Ahsoka, and I'm really loving the potential Norse mythology connection, and there seems to be an underlying tragedy with these characters. If Arna Sagno hinted at this before, when she said we feel sympathy towards Shin. I don't think all the bad guys in this series are necessarily evil, they're just in these positions because it's what they have to do to survive. Their ultimate goals might conflict with the New Republic, with Ahsoka and Sabine, but they have their justifications, and that is what we want to know. I think it's so tragic Ray Stevenson is not with us anymore to see the fruits of his labour, to watch the show with us all, but oh boy, I reckon we're in for one hell of a performance. Rest in peace, Ray. You are absolutely awesome. Now, speaking of Loth-Wolves, here is Dave's quote on their importance. I think the key for me with the wolves is that there's something to be respected, but they can be dangerous, or they can be beneficial, and our heroes have to figure out what that means. But I think given the power of them as an animal and an archetype, there needs to be a feeling of respect, and a feeling of thought behind them. And there's no doubt this is going to continue in Star Wars Ahsoka next month. Their own connection to the galaxy is what drives them, but it seems like there is something more, and there's a reason not everything was fully explained in Star Wars Rebels. This was always a concept Dave was going to return to, and how he's finally going to do that. And he even mentioned how the Star Wars fandom is going to draw parallels and correlations between other things they've seen in Rebels and what they're going to see in this upcoming show. And when talking about the cosmic force surrounding Kanan and the connection to Doom, he says this: I would say the reaction of the wolves, everything they're doing is very specific and not necessarily meant to be completely benevolent either. So they're not all good, but there is a purpose behind them and what they're going to represent. And Dave always followed George Lucas's line of thinking when it came to this, that the purest form of the force is nature itself, giving life and destroying it, birth and death, that cycle. And Dave said, quote, these wolves are just a kind of vessel that I'm using in a new way to communicate this story, but hopefully to stay true to what the Force actually is. And now I want to turn your attention to what he said about the world between worlds. There are lots of misconceptions about it, but here's what he said. It's not about time travel. It's really not about time travel at all. It's just about a place where everything comes together, and you hear different things echoing through time, because it's all fluid in that moment, in that place. It's not this material thing that's linear. Everything is occurring all the time. And Ezra is more in tune with the things that are directly related to him, like when he was on Malachor and saw Ahsoka, or like when he saw Kanan die. These things reverberate to him, and he understands them. All the other voices he doesn't even understand. He doesn't know those people. I don't know how real it actually is. I don't want to define that for people anyway. It's not this place of gateways and doorways that you just go in and out of. Now Ezra can pull Ahsoka into that world. Remember, she's smart enough to know that she can't leave that world through his door. She has to go back to where she came. And so the way this is going to be handled in live action could be very interesting. I've seen a bunch of fans say that we're probably not even going to go there. It's just going to be hinted at or alluded to. I don't know. I'd say it's probably going to play a very big role. What do you guys think? Let me know down below.